For over 30 years, Matt Storch has been one of the area's best known and most respected chefs and restaurant owners. Match in Sono recently celebrated its 25th anniversary. Match Burger Lobster is a Westport favorite for its classic New England menu, and Saugatuck Provisions next door, Matt's newest project, is a whole animal butcher shop and market. Matt is also involved in the Copps Island trailers. He's a chopped champion.
Oh, yes.
And appeared on Beat Bobby Flay. So today, Matt ducks out, get it?
Got it.
From the kitchen, and is here at the Westport Library for our 06880 podcast. Thank you for coming, Matt.
Thanks for the invite, Dan. It's a true honor to be here, to be honest.
But you didn't bring lunch.
Well, we could do that after.
Okay, we'll do it afterwards. So I know you're a Westport native, Staples guy. How did you get your start? Was it one of those little easy bake ovens?
Believe it or not, yeah, that's quite funny.
Seriously?
Actually, that you picked that out. I did get an easy bake oven when I was a kid. Actually, my sister got the easy bake oven, and I believe I stole it. Always been interested in the kitchen. My grandmother was a huge travel entrepreneur in New York City. So all we did was travel. Big time restaurants, kind of got me hooked. And then also the Staples school or the Westport school system. I did an internship through the gifted program that Bob Manier and Sandy Eichardt actually set up, which was working with Georges Laurence, who was Le Paradis and Il Volano at the time.
Sure.
So that was like my first foray into a kitchen, and I got to sort of see what was going on, and it caught for sure. Tacos or what after that. I worked at DeRosa's Firehouse delivering pizzas, but it was time in the kitchen. So yeah, I've been here, done that in this town for sure. And it was either that or film. I was very interested with Tom Green in the film program and Jim Honeycutt, TV and film production. Went to film school in Boston at Emerson, but was always cooking on the line. I worked with a gentleman named Todd English at Olives in just over the bridge in Charleston, Mass. He told me, if you're going to do it right. Go to culinary school. So I went to the CIA, and the rest is history. Had
you taken culinary at Staples?
It wasn't what it is now. With Cecily Gans and Allison Milby. It was a very small sort of home ec type of, I was there. Mm-hmm. I was interested in it for sure. But definitely I was more out of the TV studio at that time.
So what is it about cooking, about being in the kitchen that really spoke to you?
There's a few things. One is, and I always say this, it's the smiles that I put on people's faces, and customers that return, and come back for the consistent quality product. Just sort of making them happy and understanding that lending to their free time and having, a good time out. That was one of the reasons that I just kept doing it and enjoying it. I don't know what else. I said there was two things, right? I think it's the rush and the sort of organized chaos that I always, strive for. It's hectic for sure. I'm pulled in 1,000 different directions at the same time, and being able to manage that and to really control the chaos is what I love. That's where the adrenaline comes from.
And it comes every night.
For sure.
And how about the move from being a chef to being a restaurant owner? That's a big step, right?
That was a big step. That kind of happened when I was young at Match. There was some people looking for me, and I sort of made a decision to stay at Match, and so they gave me some partnership, which was great. So that was early on, being the restaurateur, and then I, eventually made some moves and bought some partners out, opened a few other restaurants with different people. that move was sort of natural, it just sort of progressed because I always had that entrepreneurial spirit. But the big move was me sort of coming out of the kitchen and being more of the business side of things, working during the day and raising
that was at
raising a
Match?
family at night. So that was, I'd say that was 5 years ago, where I sort of, no, more than that actually, 8 years ago, when I was still in the kitchen at Match every night. And I sort of pulled myself out of that so I could raise a family and see my kids.
25 years for Match.
25
That's
years. Yeah.
not many restaurants achieve that. What is it about Match that has enabled it to be so popular for so long?
I'd say staying up with, let's say, being consistent. I think that was number one. Always serving a quality product, always keeping my eye on it, and making sure that I was there. And even doing so when I wasn't there, making sure that the right people were in place and, keeping it consistent. There's items on the menu, like I'd always want to change the menu, but there's items on that menu, if I were to remove them, that people would be very upset with me. So it's kind of become this stagnant mainstay with good quality food that people can rely on and trust.
And then Match Burger Lobster.
Yeah, that was fun. That was me. So the guys at the butcher shop, which was prior to Saugatuck Provisions, sort of were running that restaurant space, and I was buying meat from them for the restaurants, and they said, hey, why don't you take it over for us and see if you can make a run at it. And I always love road shacks in Connecticut, right? So like footlong hot dogs and burgers and lobster rolls and fried clams. So that was
Swanky Frank's.
Yeah, Swanky Frank's was my go-to. The Meneer family again. So that sort of it caught my eye and said, hey, let's do like an elevated road shack with this really good quality product. And that was the end of that. That was quick. So that happened, and 7 years later, I think we're in.
It was sort of a niche, right? It filled a niche that...
I think so. There wasn't that sort of casual place. It's super casual. You walk in shorts and T-shirt in the summer and, kind of hang out in the winter. It's a little slower in the winter because the space is really small, but the quality is there. A lot of takeout. We do a ton of takeout.
Sure.
Yeah.
And then recently you added the
butcher shop.
The butcher shop and the cooking
Provisions
that
after
you're doing
dark.
there?
Yeah, that was something that I've always really wanted to offer clientele. So about the butcher shop, that was Paul Nessel and I, who is my business partner there. He was the butcher of Saugatuck Craft Butchery originally. We had always talked about taking over that space and just making it a little bit more accessible to customers. So we did that, and instead of, they were, once they sell out of an item, they would never bring in something to supplement it. So we added that picture. We added sort of this chef curated ingredients to the shelves. So it's a true market when you can come in there. You could, instead of just buying the protein, you can actually, make a meal out of everything that's in there. So that sort of progressed, and, Thanksgiving and holidays, great orders there. Everyone's, sort of leaning on us to be that sort of specialty store for the holidays. But I wanted to actually cook that product, which is very hard to do because it's such a limited amount. So why not invite people in to sit in the restaurant that's attached to it right next door, right? And be able to walk into Provisions and pick out what they want to eat. So that's what they do. They sit down, they may order an appetizer or a cocktail, and then come next door, pick out a piece of salmon or a porterhouse for two or a ribeye or a piece of pork. And then we just simply cook it for them and plate it, just really nice steamed vegetables and a crispy potato, and they choose their sauce. So it's definitely interactive. And, you're not getting that sort of quality product. You can't, like, even in my restaurants, you can't find that that local, wholesome, quality food.
Sounds like a challenge for the back of the house.
A bit. We worked out the logistics, right? We're only doing it Sunday to Thursday because Friday and Saturday are a little crazy, so couldn't really work that in. Maybe we will in the future. But it works. For larger parties, it's interesting. We put little sticks in what people order and what they want, and we figure it out. It works well.
And what's the reaction?
Organizing the chaos. Reaction's great. People say I should advertise it more and get it out there. I'm kind of the
go on a podcast.
I should, something like that. If so, only someone would invite me. But the word of mouth is getting out, and it's people are getting it.
So you're right in the middle of Saugatuck.
Yeah.
And you are surrounded by restaurants. Saugatuck Rowing Club, Rizzuto's, Viva, The Welk, Tootie's, Harvest, the Bridge at Saugatuck.
Yeah, and probably 10 more.
Zuka's, and I'm missing some. What's that like for you as a restaurant owner? Is it competition? Does it bring people there? Is it both?
So I love it, and I just love it. I mean, being surrounded by restaurants and being sort of the hub where people come and can walk around and make their choices is great. It goes back to Match. We've been in South Norwalk for 25 years. That street was essentially the only place that people went back in the day. Hence the reason that I opened there, because I was going there when I was a kid. So it's good to have that mass of restaurants. Are there a lot of restaurants in Westport and Fairfield County? For sure. Are there? Is it a little bit more competition than it used to be, fighting for the dollars? Yeah, it is. It's good competition. It's healthy competition. It's what it should be. It's very niche, right? So everyone's got their own little pocket of what they're doing and what they're good. No one's really opening the same concept on top of each other. So it tends to work down there nicely.
Do you guys, I forgot to mention Culinary.
Culinary, yep.
Do you guys, the restaurant owners, do you
chat,
talk, do you hang out, do you go to each other's places?
I used to go to people's places all the time. Now that I have kids, it's curtailed a little bit. I cook a lot at home. We hang out there. So I don't go out as much as I want to. Would I go to those places? Absolutely. Would I support them? Do all of us talk? Yeah. I mean, I'd say a few years ago during, COVID times, it brought us back together in respects of really having conversations of how to do things, how to survive, how to lean on each other. We're busy guys, myself, Bill, Massimo, all the guys in the area. And we have multiple places, right? So we're not always in that area. So it's not like we're bumping into each other, but when we see each other, it's definitely quick conversations about what's going on for sure.
You mentioned all the guys. There's no women.
There are
right?
a few women, actually. Green at Eliam, she's there doing killer food. My son's in love with one of her salads. Always asks about it. My partner, Susan McConnell, runs, Match and Match Burger. She's my partner in all of them. Other women chefs, Cecily. It's not as abundant as it should be, for sure. Is there
a reason?
No, not for any particular reason. I don't think it's just how it mocked up to be. There are a zillion amazing women chefs out there running restaurants. For some reason, they just haven't all landed in this area.
Yeah. Talk about the dining scene in Westport. Has it changed over the years? And if so, how so?
Well, I've seen it since I was a kid, right? So 46 years of seeing Westport dining, and you've witnessed it as well. I was a Mario's kid. I loved Mario's. My dad was always there. Pasta Nostra down in Norwalk. It has changed. It's still going out. It's still restaurant. You're still catering to a clientele that is discerning, well-traveled. I think people certainly want the quality, especially paying the prices that they're paying now, which are definitely higher than they used to be. I think people are a little bit easier to go to a restaurant that, is not going to blow them away. They're not looking for that every night. They're just sort of looking for a good, casual meal. Do I think certain places around here hit on that? A few do. But that Mario sort of red sauce, simple food is gone. And I don't know if I were to reopen it, if it would be as such a success as it was back in the day. I think people's taste has changed a little bit.
And how about clientele? Has that changed, particularly since the pandemic?
I think they've changed their habits. A lot of people, they eat out. They want to support us, which is awesome. They come earlier, definitely. Not as much a late night crowd. I believe, I'm open 7 days a week at Match Burger because of the casual side of things, but Match I'm only five nights a week from Wednesday to Sunday. So I think some of the business dining has slowed down a little bit. There's not as many big groups that are going out. But the clientele itself is, it changes with Westport. Like Westport has changed, so we're dealing with a much more sophisticated New York crowd that's come out to join us here in Westport.
Sure. You talked a couple of times about Staples High School, their culinary program, Chef Cecily Gans, Chef Allison Milwee-Grace. What's your connection with the Staples culinary program?
I love them both. They're both fantastic people. I've been there for talks and demos. I've gone by Cecily's word and brought some people in to work and do internships with me, which have most all worked out. There's some success stories out there that they, it's funny, they work for me for a little while, then they work for Bill, then they'll work for Brian, and then they'll go off to culinary school and kill it. They're getting that solid restaurant experience that they need. We try to scare people away from the business when they come see us, just to make sure that, it's truly what they want to do, because it's not for the faint of heart.
Sure.
For sure.
And you have kids working for you now?
Not right this second, but I'm sure Cecily will be reaching out soon for, it's sort of like that, spring season when they start.
Because when I was growing up, a ton of kids worked in restaurants.
Oh, yeah.
Everything, in the kitchen, dishwasher, busing.
Those days are gone.
Those days are gone.
Those days are gone. And it's sad. It is, because my kids will be in there. They've helped out at the store and the restaurants. I think everybody should see that business from the inside, and either from the back of the house or from the floor, and get that sort of service industry, minded work ethic, right? Unfortunately, the work ethic is not work-based, it's school-based now, right? So they're driving their kids to succeed in whether it be athletics or music or art, and straight up education, and missing that piece, which is important. Like I was, I hate to say it, but I spent more time at Tacos or What working than, being at school.
and what did you learn there besides how to make a taco?
Life. That was a life lesson, how to really balance, how to order, how to really keep money in line and schedules in line. And yeah, I mean, that's basics, right? But you learn life just by talking to the people that would come in there, and the face-to-face interactions and the conversations. And you run into a lot of these kids now that, even come in to bust dishes or make coffees, and they don't know how to talk to people. And it's very upsetting. It's like, what are we doing to these kids these days? The workforce is shifting into this ugly, non sort of ready, I want to say, for life, which is scary.
No, I've heard a number of times that every person at some point in their life should work in the service industry and
for sure
know what it's like to
deal
with people.
A customer that has some questions for you, right? Or is not happy, or not even or they are happy. Like for me, that was the thing. Like there was a ton of happy customers. This is kind of fun. I want to keep doing this. And you never know. People may grab that grab that, and get hooked into it like I did.
Sure. So let's talk about Chopped.
Yeah,
What
sure.
was that experience like?
That was fun. That was a long time ago, but good. It was high stress, pressure, the timing really sort of tested me in respects of, what I've learned over the years, right? So throwing you something that should not be made into a dish and then somehow you make it into this cool, version of something. And I won, which was awesome. It was a little pin that I could put out there that says, I won Chopped.
And Bobby Flay? Did you beat Bobby Flay?
I didn't beat Bobby Flay, but my sister beat me and then beat Bobby Flay.
Man.
So, we kept it in the family, so it was good. It was funny. We were interviewing for that, and I mentioned that my sister was a chef, and that was their show hook.
That was their
immediately. Hook. Yeah. So it was like, okay, let's set this boy up to see what we can do. There you have it.
So what's ahead? New projects, new ideas?
Love the butcher shop. I don't know if we're gonna multiply those. I don't. It's such a personal experience. I think it's important that we keep that crew small.
Is it with Provisions? They're
Provisions.
All local, right?
They're all local. Everything's local.
How local?
So Match is Norwalk. Provisions is
no, but I mean, where do you get
the products?
The provisions for Provisions.
The meat the beef, the pork, and the lamb come from Pine Plains, New York. So we're 70 miles up the road. Every 2 weeks, Paul drives up there and grabs the animals.
Wow.
Yeah, fantastic. Literally, you just can't get better.
I remember what was the first place? Was it Craft Butchery?
Craft Butchery, yeah.
When that
Paul
opened,
yeah,
where the ice cream place is now.
Mm-hmm.
And they would walk in with the carcasses, and all of a sudden people, like,
what's going on?
What we're eating.
Right. It's funny because remember Fuddruckers? You used to drive down Post Road and see the cattle hanging in the window. Same story, different use. But we still do that. If you can catch Paul on Monday at about 5:30, 6 o'clock, you'll see animals slung over his shoulder coming into the butcher shop for sure. The produce, Sport Hill Farm, Easton, other local. I try to keep it mostly organic as well. Nitnoy Provisions, dumplings, Match pizzas, Arethusa, so Connecticut, New York, Hudson Valley Chicken, so finding the best people that are doing it right in this area. That's sort of how we get the provisions, how we focus it. Copps Island Oyster Shack with the Blooms down in Norwalk. Amazing family. Getting hooked up with them was one of the best things that I think I've ever done. They are these great trailers that we put on these remarkable spaces sitting on the water, which, in this area, the real estate on the water is very hard to come by. So in Stratford, you're sitting on this beautiful marina feet from the water and seeing these beautiful sunsets and eating delicious roadside food.
Wow.
Same at Cove in Norwalk, Cove Marina. We just started this past year. So I would do a few more of those. I think that's what's definitely up and coming. And
what is the future of meat? People still eating meat?
People are still eating meat. Meatless Monday is still a thing, sure. I think people are looking for the quality meat. I can eat steak every day of the week. It probably wouldn't be too good for me, but I'm a big fan of what I sell. And a simple roast or a beautiful spatchcock chicken, evenly with crispy skin, all day long is what I'm going to eat. Price meat took a little bit of a increase lately, and it's going to continue to rise. Just for the amounts that are being produced is not as much as what used to be. So you're going to see a little bit of an increase in the next few months.
So you mentioned all the different things that you eat. You got one choice for a meal at Match.
Okay.
What is it?
I go to steak frite immediately. Carpetbaggers and steak frite. So carpetbaggers are these fried oysters with truffle steak tartare and truffle cream on the bottom. Those are like, you take one bite and you're finished. You're addicted for life. And then steak frite is basically one of my favorite meals, which is a beautiful strip loin or any cut of meat, but this one happens to be a New York strip, and fries, homemade fries, garlic butter, sweet and sour onions, a little bit of lemony watercress. I mean, that's a classic French bistro dish for a reason and has been around for God knows how many years. That's the one. My rendition of it, of course. But
Of course. And the one meal at Match Burger Lobster?
Ooh, that's a little harder. I'd have to go with the combo, I guess, which is a burger and a lobster roll. Two of my favorite things, hence the reason that we opened the restaurant, for sure.
Got to go with the lobster roll.
Yeah. Well, a little bit of both, you know? Why not?
And again, a tough one here. The one restaurant, you got one meal, and it can't be one of your restaurants.
That's tough.
Where do you go?
That's a tough one. That's a tough one. Does it have to be local? Or can it be
we're
anywhere in the world?
No, we're 068, both. We're 06880. So
All right.
one local and one.
So around here, I'm
Westport meets
a
the world.
sushi fan. So wherever I can get a delicious piece of sushi, which could be anywhere. I live in Fairfield, just, Westport, Fairfield border. So Finn is great. Oko's great. Those are great pieces of fish, and I would certainly return to those.
We got a new sushi place coming in on Main Street.
New sushi on Main Street in Westport?
Sushi Jin, Jin.
Okay, haven't heard yet.
Going in the old Mexico.
Oh, I didn't even know Mexico was gone. So there you go.
They had a lot of seats to fill, and they couldn't fill them. It was a big space.
That's a big space. Oh, Onion Alley days. I remember that place was huge. I wish them the best. I will go visit. Worldly, I had the opportunity to go to Spain to eat in one of the best restaurants in the world before it closed, which was called Ibuli. It was
in Barca, or
it was north of Barcelona in Catalonia, and the chef was Ferran Adria, and it was 62 courses. My father and I,
get out of here.
Yeah, my father and I flew into Barcelona. Drove up, slept, woke up, went and ate dinner, and then drove back and flew out. It was when my kids were 6 months old, so my wife was not too happy that we did that. But my dad had happened to meet Ferran in New York City about a month earlier, and got to chatting and was saying, "Hey, we want to check out your restaurant before we close." Gave us a reservation, and we went. Amazing, like out of this world, amazing. And you would never think that a restaurant would be in this space. Once in a lifetime.
Amazing.
Yep.
Amazing.
For sure. Hopefully people say that about my places.
They do. They do. Matt Storch, the owner and chef of Match in Sono, Match Burger Lobster in Westport, Saugatuck Provisions next door, and who knows what else?
Yeah. We'll never know. As long as you keep coming, I'm going to keep doing.
They'll keep coming. We will keep coming. Matt,
Please.
Thank you very much for being on the podcast. And next time, bring lunch.
Yeah, man. For sure.
You got it. Thanks.
Burger. Thanks, Dan. Appreciate it. See you next time.